Howdy y'all, welcome to my channel. Today I will be sharing with you how I created this warm, cozy, and Hygge card using die cuts and stamps as well as the coloring. So if you'd like to see how that's done, sit right back, kick your shoes off, and let's begin. We will be starting out by doing some die cutting. We're going to take this quilted patterned die and run it over this. And we'll take our nested dies and we will run this one through on this other cardstock. We now have our quilted pattern cut. Now we're moving on to the next step in our process, which is we want to remove all of these cut pieces from the inside of our quilted pattern. And we can save these for a later project. So what we're going to do now is remove the backing from our quilted pattern. And this piece is cut to 4x4. But basically, whatever quilted pattern you're working with, you would want to have your piece of paper that goes behind your quilt to be about the same size as your die cut piece. Now, through the magic of the internet, i.e. I pre-cut these, we've got pieces that we can take out of these patterned papers to make up our quilt. It doesn't take long at all. So now you just take your pieces and stick them in whichever spot they fit in. This is actually the fun part, believe it or not, the putting together your quilt. There you go, we have our little quilt for the card we're going to make. As you can see, it's really fun and easy to do, so I have a lot of pieces left to make additional quilts. And the pattern paper that I used to create these quilts was just out of my scrap pile. And even if you only have a small piece of scrap, as long as it can possibly make a couple of these little triangles at least, then that's all you need, because I find that the best quilts are the ones that are homemade. I certainly know that in my household, the one that we go to when we want our nice, warm, snuggly quilt for the winter time
we go to the grandma quilt, and well, grandma used what she had, which was leftover fabric. So no, your quilt might not be an exact, like, everything exactly the same, but that's what adds some, well, it adds character. Now, why did we make a quilt? Well, that's for our next part, because we're going to stamp on this die cut piece. We're actually going to use 3 Room Studios Let's Hygge stamp set to help us create our card. Now we're going to bring in some Catherine Pooler Midnighting. As you can tell, I've been stamping with this a couple of times. And for this to get a nice crisp image, I'm going to bring in this speedball tool, which is called a Baron. So if you don't have a Baron, what you could use is a microfiber cloth to help you apply some nice even pressure. So I have grabbed some printer paper, and I'm going to place my image on top of it. That way, if anything seeps through from my coloring, it won't wind up on my desk. It'll wind up on this printer paper. So I already have all of the colors picked out, and they're in here. So we're going to be using Ohuhu Markers, and they just come as a large pack with numbers. These are alcohol markers. So I'm going to start out with 54 and just color. I like to go in with the lightest color first. Now I'm bringing in 43. Now I'm bringing in 52. Now I'm going to be coloring the pants. I decided that the pants would be denim, starting out with 76 and just now we're going in with the color for the chairs and the ottoman. Those are starting with 103. Actually, since it is such a large area, we can just use the broad nib. Okay, so our darkest color is actually 94. Okay, now we're going to do the feet of our furniture. And that starts out with YG04. Then we bring in YG05. Now we're going to color those socks in. And again, socks / leggings because I'm not sure which. We're going to start off with cool gray, 20%. Now what we need to do is finish up our card. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this little quilt that we just made earlier and we're going to cut it in half. So we need to score our card base, and to do that you would think I would use the bone folder that comes with my score pal, but I won't because, well, it's not a Teflon bone folder. See, if I used this, it would leave something behind that would make it more shiny, whereas if I use Teflon, it won't do that. So we're going to score it at 4 1/4. And we're actually going to score it that way on both sides. And now we can move our card base and bring in our Teflon bone folder. So we're going to cut our quilt in half. We're going to use both halves. It's just, we kind of need them separated. So now that they're cut in half, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring in some glue, some snail runner. So we do the same thing with the bottom half. Okay. And now we're going to pop this piece up just by using some foam tape. So if you're going to use foam tape on the back of a piece, you should make sure that it has some in the middle, that way it doesn't bow. Okay, so there's that, and of course I need some sentiments. So I've already stamped them out. I stamped them and heat embossed them. So we're going to just place these wherever it feels like we should. So we're going to use some more foam tape to help lift up these sentiments. The sentiment stamps and of course the girl. These are stamps by 3 Room Studio. I will have the details in the description box below. So there you go. There is our completed card. If you are looking for any dies that would help you create the same effect, there are some on the Dies R Us website.
I would like to thank y'all so much for sticking with me to the end of the video. If you have any questions about what items I used, you can find them in the description box below. Also, I have links to die cuts that you can find at Dies R Us, as well as the types of die cuts that I used in the description box below. So I hope y'all stay safe, stay healthy, stay crafty. Bye!